Grace, a woman reeking of money like you, is not worthy of me. At our engagement party, my fiancé, Ethan, publicly called off our wedding, embracing his recently reunited first love. The room full of guests waited to see me become the biggest joke in Olympus City. Yet, I smiled, raised my champagne glass, and scanned the groomsmen below, a group of affluent and influential young men. Her red lips parted. Gentlemen, I am now single. Anyone willing to take over will get half of all my assets. The entire room fell silent. In a corner, the most unruly man in Olympus City's elite circle, Ethan's most dreaded childhood friend, Marcus, slowly pulled off his necktie and walked step by step onto the stage. He took the microphone from my hand, his warm breath caressed my earlobe. My dear, don't sound so distant. The next second, his flippant yet commanding voice echoed throughout the venue. From now on, call me husband. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and tell us where you're listening from in the comments. Grace, let's call off the engagement. In the opulent ballroom, the crystal chandeliers refracted brilliant light. Today was supposed to be Ethan's and my engagement party, but in front of a room full of guests, he said these words to me. Beside him stood a girl in a faded dress, timidly clutching his sleeve, fragile as a lily swaying in the wind. Lily, Ethan's first love who had been missing for years and was now finally found. Ethan, please don't be like this. Lily's eyes were red, her voice faint as a mosquito's buzz. It's all my fault. Don't argue with Ms. Grace because of me. Ms. Grace, she didn't mean it. Her words seemed to be a plea, but in reality, they were pouring oil on the flames. Ethan, as expected, pulled her into his embrace, his eyes filled with undiluted heartache. When he looked at me again, his eyes held only icy disdain and contempt. Grace, a woman who has nothing but money, you are completely unworthy of me. I vow. YS loved Lily, she's pure and kind, unlike you, who reeks of money. As soon as his words fell, the hall instantly erupted. Everyone's eyes were like spotlights hitting me, filled with schadenfreude, sympathy, and amusement. My parents' faces turned ashen with rage, and my future mother-in-law was clutching her chest, looking ready to faint any moment. I was wearing a haute couture gown worth over $1 million, and on my hand was the 10-carat diamond ring Ethan had given me. At this moment, I felt like a colossal joke. Very well. I picked up the champagne in front of me, gently swirled the golden liquid in the glass, then tilted my head back and drank it all in one gulp. The icy liquid slid down my throat, suppressing the ridiculous sting in my heart. I picked up the microphone, blowing gently into it. The crisp sound instantly silenced the entire room. My gaze didn't rest on that disgusting pair on stage, but slowly swept across the guests below. Ethan's groomsmen, all prominent scions from Olympus City's elite circle, were watching this high society scandal with keen interest. Gentlemen, I began, my voice not loud but clearly amplified throughout the ballroom. As you can all see, I am now single. I paused, my red lips curved into a breathtaking arc. Anyone willing to take over will get half of all my assets currently under Grace's name. Ethan's face instantly darkened like thunder. Grace, you're insane. You wouldn't dare. I ignored him, my gaze still fixed on the impeccably dressed men. The air seemed to freeze. Just as everyone thought this was merely my desperate ranting, a lazy chuckle came from a corner. Among the groomsmen, the devil-may-care man who had been leaning against the wall slowly straightened up. Marcus, the scion of the Liu family in Olympus City, Ethan's childhood friend, and the most unruly and untouchable among them. Rumor had it that he was ruthless and erratic, beyond even Grandpa's control. He slowly untied the necktie from his collar, casually tossing it onto a table. The movement held a lethal charm. He walked through the crowd, step by step, onto the stage. His tall figure exuding sheer dominance, stopping in front of me. His lips curved into a wild, audacious smile, his deep, captivating eyes drew me in, as if to absorb my very soul. He took the microphone from my hand, his warm breath caressed my sensitive earlobe, his voice hoarse and teasing. My dear, don't sound so distant. The next second, his flippant yet commanding voice, amplified through the microphone, echoed throughout the entire venue. From now on, call me husband. The entire room fell silent. You could hear a pin drop. Everyone's jaws nearly dropped to the floor, their gazes darting between me, Marcus, and Ethan, whose face had turned an ugly shade of green. Marcus, you goddamn psycho. Ethan, trembling with rage, pointed a finger at Marcus and cursing him out. Do you even know what you're saying? She's a woman I didn't want. Lily, on the other hand, turned ashen with fright, hiding in Ethan's arms. Tears flowed like broken pearls. Brother, how could you do this to Ethan? Ms. Grace was just speaking out of anger. don't take her seriously." Marcus couldn't even be bothered to glance at them. He simply lowered his head, looking at me. His captivating eyes held a deeper amusement, as if filled with starlight. Casually took my hand as if we were alone. He gently pressed a kiss on the back of my hand, where the 10-carat diamond ring sat. The warm touch sent a jolt like electricity through my fingertips. "Let's go, wife." His voice was soft, but held an undeniable certainty. "This garbage-strewn place is not worthy of you." With that, he pulled me and turned to leave. I didn't resist, allowing him to lead me. My heels clicked crisply on the polished floor, a clear sound, like a farewell anthem for the farce. "Grace! Stop right there. If you dare to leave with him, the Song family will no longer have you as a daughter." My fat Hers furious roar echoed behind me. My mother also rushed over, grabbing my arm, her eyes red with worry. "Grace, don't be impulsive. What exactly is going on? Tell your mother clearly." Marcus paused, then turned back to my parents with a reassuring smile. "Mr. David and Mrs. Susan, don't worry, I'll take Grace first. I'll handle the rest." His smile still held a hint of devil-may-care, but his eyes were uncharacteristically steady, emanating a reassuring strength. My parents looked at him, then at me, and finally released my hand hesitantly. We walked out of the ballroom unimpeded. Sitting in Marcus's flashy red Ferrari, we were shielded from all the commotion outside. I expressionlessly removed the blindingly obvious diamond ring from my hand, and without a second glance, tossed it out the car window. The 10-carat diamond traced a fleeting gleam in the night, then vanished completely. "All right, what are your conditions?" I turned to him, my expression already calm. Marcus started the car. The sports car let out a low growl and merged into traffic. He didn't look at me, but a teasing smile lingered on his lips. "So eager to discuss terms? I thought you'd cry and curse me for taking advantage of your vulnerability first. Crying over a man like Ethan would be a waste of my tears." I said indifferently, "As for you, we're mutually beneficial. It's not taking advantage." Hearing this, Marcus finally turned his head to look at me, a hint of genuine curiosity in his eyes. "I'm starting to wonder, how much exactly is half of your assets?" "Enough for you to live 100 times more comfortably than Ethan without lifting a finger for the rest of your life." He whistled softly, his tone flippant. "Sounds truly tempting." However, he changed the subject. "I'm not very interested in money. I just had a bone to pick with Ethan. He's so short-sighted, throwing away a treasure like you for a manipulative, fake innocent. Even I, as his childhood friend, feel ashamed for him." I raised an eyebrow, non-committal. "So, what do you plan to do?" "Simple." Marcus held the steering wheel with one hand, and with the other, he reached over and toyed with a strand of my long hair. "We get married. A contract marriage." I calmly added, "We won't interfere with each other's lives after marriage. Once I've dealt with the Shin family and gotten what's rightfully mine, we'll divorce. Half of my assets will be your payment. Deal?" He agreed swiftly and decisively. The car sped along, finally stopping below a penthouse apartment building that overlooked the city's night view. "Welcome to our new home." Marcus turned off the engine and winked at me. I followed him into the elevator, looking at our reflections side by side in the mirror, one alluring and bold, the other handsome and unrestrained. There was an inexplicable sense of compatibility. The elevator doors opened to a stylish top-floor duplex apartment. I glanced around and said calmly, "I'll sleep in the guest room." Marcus leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, and chuckled at my words. "No problem, my queen." But he suddenly walked towards me, cornering me against the wall, his tall figure completely enveloping me. He leaned down, his warm breath caressed my earlobe, his voice husky and ambiguous. "Before we sign the agreement, shouldn't there be a down payment? Like a goodnight kiss?" I looked at his magnified handsome face, his captivating eyes filled with a playful determination. His warm breath, like a feather, brushed my cheek, an ambiguous tickle. "A goodnight kiss?" I suddenly laughed, a bright yet dangerous laugh. In the moment Marcus paused, I swiftly reached out, not to push him away, but to grab the necktie he had carelessly loosened. I pulled down with force. His tall frame was forced to bend, and the distance between us instantly shrunk to zero. I tilted my head up and kissed him without hesitation. The kiss held no tenderness, instead, it carried a hint of vengeful intensity and release. I could feel Marcus's body stiffen instantly, and the flicker of surprise in his eyes. He probably hadn't expected that I, a seemingly docile rabbit, if pushed, would bite. It was a quick peck. I released his necktie, lightly brushed my slightly swollen lips with my fingertips, and looked at him with a hint of provocation. "Down payment received. Can we discuss the contract now?" Mr. Marcus? Marcus straightened up, his Adam's apple bobbed. His deep, captivating eyes gazed at me intently, the teasing amusement in them replaced by a more intense emotion. He chuckled, his voice incredibly husky. Of course, my wife. He turned, took a bottle of red wine and 2 glasses from the wine cabinet, elegantly poured the wine, and handed 1 glass to me. Sit. We sat facing each other across a costly ebony coffee table. The atmosphere felt like a business negotiation, yet undercurrents of something unspoken surged between us. I swirled the red wine in my glass, getting straight to the point. A contract marriage, for 1 year. After 1 year, once I've recovered what the Song and Shin families owe me, we'll divorce. Half of my assets will be your compensation, paid in full. Marcus took a sip of his wine, his long fingers tapped lightly on the glass, emitting a crisp sound. Good terms. He said lazily, however, I also have my conditions. I looked up at him. Speak. First, during our marriage, you must play the part of Mrs. Lu well, especially in front of my family. They're constantly hounding me to get married, so you'll be my shield. Agreed. This was to be expected. He curved his lips, leaning slightly forward, his eyes seeming to see through me. Second, during our marriage, you cannot have physical contact beyond a respectable distance with any man other than me. I scoffed. Are you asking me to maintain fidelity for you, Mr. Marcus? You can interpret it as, I don't like my things being coveted by others. His tone was matter of fact, carrying an inherent dominance. All right. I nodded, drinking the red wine in my glass. Similarly, Mr. Marcus, you must also abide by this rule. It would be best if you handled all your flings. Deal. He smiled like a cat that got the cream. Just then, my phone, which I had thrown on the sofa, vibrated frantically. The name Ethan was blindingly obvious on the screen. I was about to hang up, but Marcus reached for my phone, slowly answered it, and then put it on speakerphone. Grace. You slut. How dare you cuckold me in public? Have you and Marcus been seeing each other behind my back all along? Ethan's furious roar instantly filled the entire living room. I remained expressionless, my eyes icy. Marcus, however, chuckled. He picked up the phone and spoke in a lazy yet utterly possessive tone. Ethan, it's me. The other end of the line instantly fell silent. From now on, Grace is my woman. A piece of advice, from now on, when you see her, walk the other way. If you dare to curse at her with another foul word, or appear in front of her again to be an eyesore, I will make sure you can't get by in Olympus City. Try me if you don't believe it. With that, he hung up the phone decisively, not even waiting for Ethan to reply. The whole world finally became quiet. I looked at him, and I had to admit, his arrogant demeanor indeed held a certain damn-it-all charm. He tossed the phone back to me and winked. Done. Anything else my husband can do for you? Just as he finished speaking, his phone rang too. Marcus glanced at the caller ID, and his devil-may-care attitude vanished instantly, replaced by utter seriousness. He answered the call, his voice steady. Grandpa. My heart skipped a beat. Grandpa, the patriarch of the Lu family, was a legendary figure whose slightest move could shake the entire city. I couldn't hear what was said on the other end, only a roar of suppressed fury. Marcus simply responded in a deep voice. It's me. I've made up my mind. I'll bring her back to see you tomorrow. Hanging up the phone, he looked at me, his eyes deep and filled with a trace of inquiry. It seems our agreement needs a temporary addition. Tomorrow, come back to the estate with me to meet the family. The next day, I woke up to a dazzling sunlight. An unfamiliar room, an unfamiliar bed, and the lingering scent of red wine in the air. Everything from last night played back in my mind like a fast-forwarded movie. Breaking off the engagement with Ethan, publicly calling for a husband, a contract marriage with Marcus, and today, I was even going to meet his notoriously hot-tempered grandfather. I rubbed my throbbing temples, got up, and walked into the bathroom. The woman in the mirror had a hint of fatigue in her eyes, but her gaze was still clear, without any trace of distress. Good, Grace, that's more like you. Dressing and going downstairs, Marcus was already seated at the dining table, impeccably dressed. Today he wore a well-tailored dark gray suit, which toned down his devil-may-care attitude from last night, adding a mature, steady charm. Seeing me descend, he gestured to the lavish breakfast on the table. Eat something, we have a tough battle ahead. I pulled out a chair and sat down, picking up a slice of toast. What preparations do I need? Marcus handed me a tablet computer. My Henry's information, and the relationship chart of the main members of the Lu family. My Henry, had a decorated military career, then transitioned from military to business, founding the Lu He has a sharp eye and formidable tactics, and he absolutely despises hypocrisy and foolishness. Remember, in front of him, you can be nervous, but don't show weakness, you can keep silent, but every word you say must be carefully thought through. I quickly scanned the documents, committing the key information to memory. The documents specifically highlighted one person, Clark, Marcus's cousin, vice clerk of the Lou, and Marcus's biggest competitor in the family. Understood. He looked at me deeply, a hint of inquiry in his eyes. Aren't you scared? I met his gaze, smiling faintly. Why should I be scared? I'm not going to meet the king of hell. Besides, compared to facing a legendary figure who controlled Olympus City's economy, I hated seeing Ethan's hypocritical face even more. Marcus's smile deepened at my words. Interesting. I'm looking forward to your performance today. An hour later, the black Rolls-Royce slowly drove into a heavily guarded estate. This was the estate. The estate covered a vast area, with pavilions, ancient towering trees, and an air of understated luxury and profound historical depth everywhere. The car stopped at the main house entrance, where an energetic and spry butler in a traditional Mandarin collar shirt was already waiting. Young Marcus, you're back. Butler bowed respectfully, his gaze subtly falling on me, carrying a hint of scrutiny. Butler, Marcus nodded, naturally taking my hand as he introduced me. This is Grace, my wife. Butler's eyes flickered with surprise, but he quickly regained his composure, nodding slightly to me. Ms. Grace, Grandpa is waiting for you in the study. He didn't even bother to call me young, which implied that no one in the Liu family had high hopes for me. Marcus tightened his grip on my hand, whispering in my ear, "Don't be afraid, I'm here." I could feel the warmth of his palm, very hot, carrying a reassuring strength. The study door, made of heavy solid wood, made a dull thud as it opened. The room was filled with the faint scent of ink and tea. An energetic and spry old man in a tang suit, with white hair, sat in an ornate armchair, holding prayer beads, with his eyes closed in repose. He hadn't opened his eyes, yet the pressure in the study was so intense it was suffocating. This was Henry, the pillar of the Liu family. "Grandpa, I brought Grace back." Marcus's steady voice broke the silence. Henry slowly opened his eyes. What sharp eyes they were, as if they could penetrate people's hearts and see through all pretenses. His gaze did not linger on Marcus, but shot directly at me, carrying an unmistakable scrutiny and deadly oppressive aura. "So you're that girl from the Song family?" His voice was old, but full of vigor. "Hello, Grandpa, I am Grace." I straightened my back, neither humble nor arrogant, meeting his gaze. Henry snorted coldly. "Such audacity. Publicly called for a husband at your own engagement party, you've brought shame to both the Song and Liu families." My heart tightened, but my expression remained calm. Ethan publicly broke off the engagement and humiliated me first. If I had been crying pitifully, that would truly have disgraced the Song family. "Oh?" Henry raised an eyebrow, seeming to take a little interest. "So you roped in my good-for-nothing grandson to put on such a show?" "Grandpa, Marcus and I are truly in love, it's not an act." I lied without changing my expression. "Truly in love?" Henry's eyes grew sharper. "Then tell me, what about him caught your eye? Was it his handsome face, or his status as the Liu family heir?" This question was sharp and cutting. I was silent for 2 seconds. Marcus beside me seemed about to speak, but I secretly squeezed his hand, signaling him to keep quiet. I looked up, directly at Henry, and said clearly, word by word, what caught my eye was that when the whole world was laughing at me, he fearlessly stepped forward, came to my side, and told me, "Let's go, wife." What caught my eye was his respect, and a sense of responsibility. The study fell silent once more. Marcus turned his head to look at me, and for the first time an expression of shock appeared in his deep, captivating eyes. After a long while, a hint of concession finally appeared on Henry's stern face. He turned the prayer beads in his hand and slowly said, "Easier said than done. Wanting to enter my Liu family's door takes more than just sweet talk." He pushed a document on the table towards us, his tone brooking no argument. "This is a newly established subsidiary under Liu, currently suffering severe losses. In 1 month, I want you to turn it profitable. If you succeed, I will acknowledge you as my granddaughter-in-law. If you don't." Before he finished, the study door was pushed open. An effeminate man in a matching custom suit walked in. He glanced at Marcus, then cast a disdainful look at me, a fake smile playing on his lips. He was Clark. "Grandpa, did you call me?" Clark asked with a bow, then feigned surprise as he looked at the document on the table. "Oh dear, isn't this stellar, which I was in charge of before?" "Why, Grandpa, Are you planning to hand this mess over to, my dear? He emphasized the words mess and my dear. Henry looked at me expressionlessly. If you can't do it, then take your true love and Marcus, and get out of the Liu family. After leaving the estate and getting back in the car, I finally felt my taut nerves relax a bit. Clark's gleeful look at the end was still vividly imprinted in my mind. Marcus tossed the thick document into my lap, then turned to look at me, his eyes full of undisguised admiration. Congratulations, wife, you've successfully made my grandpa see you in a new light. I opened the document to find it was a talent agency called Stella. It had very few artists but was saddled with 8-figure debts. The legal representative listed was Clark. This wasn't a test at all, it was a trap. It was Henry's warning to Marcus, and also a pit Clark had dug for me. You're really willing to part with this mess? I scoffed. Marcus started the car, smiling like a cat that got the cream. I trust my wife's abilities. Besides, even if you bankrupt the company, don't I have your back? The car stopped steadily downstairs at Stella. This was a small company located in an old office building in the city center. The receptionist was asleep at the front desk, employees were clustered red in small groups scrolling on their phones, and the air was permeated with a sense of impending doom and decay. My appearance was like a stone thrown into stagnant water. An oily-haired, powdered-faced middle-aged man shuffled over, a protruding beer belly, eyeing me dismissively, his tone flippant. Well, where's this pretty girl from? Wrong place, perhaps? Marcus behind me gave a light cough. The man's face changed when he saw Marcus, and he immediately put on a fawning smile. Young Marcus, what brings you here? Marcus ignored him, simply introducing me. This is Leonard, Stella's general manager, my cousin's confidant. I looked at Leonard and said calmly, from today, I am taking over Stella. Leonard's smile froze, replaced by a forced, insincere smile. Ah, the new boss, my apologies. While he said apologies, his eyes were full of scorn and disdain, clearly not taking this young woman seriously. Vice Clark didn't tell us. Isn't this handover a bit too rushed? Notify all management. Meeting room, 10 minutes. I didn't bother with pleasantries, walking straight to the conference room. 10 minutes later, everyone was there, but they were slouching, whispering amongst themselves, not taking the meeting seriously at all. Leonard, sitting with crossed legs, clearly enjoying the show, said, "New boss, just tell us what you need, we're all listening." I projected a pre-prepared list onto the screen. The HR director, leveraging his position, arranged for relatives to draw a salary for doing nothing and embezzled company recruitment funds of $300,000. The director, colluding with partners to inflate advertising costs and embezzle company assets of $500,000. And you, General Leonard, my gaze fell on his face, which instantly turned chalk white, misappropriating company funds of $2 million, supporting a mistress outside, and even buying your son an apartment. Do I need to read out the address? The entire conference room fell into a deathly silence. Leonard suddenly stood up, pointing at me, his voice a mixture of anger and bravado. You slander. What evidence do you have? I smiled, pressing the remote control. The screen instantly switched to bank statements, transfer records, and photos of Leonard intimately entering and leaving a high-end residential complex with a young girl. The evidence was conclusive and irrefutable. I stood up, scanning the faces of the management, which were ashen. My voice was cold, yet it clearly reached every ear. Now, I give you two choices. First, resign voluntarily, return all the money you've taken, and this matter ends here. Second, I paused, my smile growing even colder, I call the police and let them deal with you. Just then, the conference room door was pushed open. Ethan actually appeared at the door, accompanied by Clark. Clark had a look of amusement on his face. My dear, such a big show on your first day? These are all company veterans. If you fire them all, how will the company operate? Ethan walked directly in front of me, looking down at me, his eyes full of triumphant revenge. Grace, do you think you're so great just because you've latched onto Marcus? I invested $50 million in this company today, so now I'm the biggest shareholder. He turned to Leonard and the others, announcing loudly, everyone, don't worry, with me, Ethan, here, no one can touch you. Leonard and the others immediately found their backbone, their arrogance flaring up again. Did you hear that? Mr. Shen is our boss. What do you think you are? A woman whose engagement was broken off, really thinks she's hot stuff? If you know what's good for you, get out. Don't be an eyesore. Marcus's face darkened, and he was about to erupt, but I pressed his hand. I looked at their ugly faces, and instead of getting angry, I laughed. Very good. I took out my phone and, in front of everyone, dialed a number. Hello, is this the tax bureau? My voice wasn't loud, but it exploded with a boom in the conference room like a thunderclap. I want to report, under my real name, that Stellar Culture Limited has committed large-scale tax evasion and falsifying financial records, among other serious illegal acts. The amount involved is estimated to be over 100 million. You wouldn't dare. Leonard's greasy face turned the color of a pig's liver, sweat streaming down his sparse hair. Clark's and Ethan's faces also instantly turned incredibly ugly. Tax evasion, that crime could be big or small, but once confirmed, not to mention the company, they themselves would be in serious trouble. Ethan, even more furious, pointed at my nose and roared, Grace, you vicious woman. To get revenge on me, you'd even destroy a Liu family company. I smiled, my smile icy, not reaching my eyes. Mr. Shen, you seem to have misunderstood one thing. I slowly stood up, walked in front of him, and looked down at him. This company belongs to the Liu family, not the Shen family. Your 50 million is now just filling the Liu's losses, not even making a splash. As for destroying it? I leaned closer to him, my voice very low, but like a poisoned blade, stabbing into his heart. A company rotten to its core, do we keep it for a holiday or tear it down and rebuild? He pointed at me, his lips trembling, unable to utter a single word. Marcus, who had been leaning against the doorframe watching the show, slowly straightened up at this moment. He took out his phone and, in front of everyone, dialed a number. He even put it on speakerphone. Hello, Mr. Michael? A steady male voice came from the other end. Young Marcus, how can I help you? I'm sending you a location, Stellar. Marcus's tone was as relaxed as if he were discussing the weather. There's a group of people here suspected of embezzlement, misappropriating company funds, plus tax evasion, amounting to roughly tens of millions. Bring your team and coordinate with the Economic Investigation and Tax Authority IES to come over and handle the paperwork. Oh, and tell them not a single person should be missed. Especially that new shareholder who just invested 50 million. Investigate his source of funds thoroughly. Understood, young Marcus, we'll be right there. The call ended, and the conference room fell into a deathly silence. Leonard collapsed on the ground with a thud, his legs turning to jelly. The other directors' faces were ashen, trembling like leaves in an autumn wind. Clark looked at Marcus, his eyes full of disbelief and resentment. Marcus, for a woman, you dare to plot against my people? Marcus's eyes were as cold as ice. Clark, I warned you, don't entertain thoughts you shouldn't. Clark's face was ashen. He gave me one last furious glare and stormed off. Ethan also tried to slip away, but Marcus's bodyguards blocked his path. I watched them with cold eyes, my voice devoid of warmth. My patience is limited. Now, I'll give you one last chance. 5 minutes. Pack your things, sign your resignation letters, explain where the money went, and then get out. After 5 minutes, it won't be me talking to you, but the Liu family's lawyers and the police. As soon as my words fell, that group of people, as if in fast forward, scrambled out of the conference room. In less than 5 minutes, several signed resignation letters and a stack of messy repayment plans appeared on the table. The whole world was finally quiet. Marcus walked up to me, his long arm reached out naturally to encircle my waist, and he chuckled in my ear. Wife, you were incredibly cool just now. Before I could reply, a young woman in work attire, looking like she had just graduated, timidly knocked on the conference room door. Ms. Grace. What is it? I dropped my smile, returning to a businesslike tone. The young woman nervously wrung her fingers, her voice faint as a mosquito's buzz. Just now when General Leonard and the others left, I heard them say, they're going to sell the contract of Stella, our company's top artist, to Elite. Elite was the company under Ethan's family. Seeing my expression change, the young woman almost cried with worry. Sister is the company's only hope. If she leaves too, our company will truly be finished. And, her agent, Mark, is General Leonard's confidant. He's currently blocking Sister's lounge, forcing her to sign a contract termination and transfer agreement. My eyes sharpened. What a move by Ethan, he certainly acted fast. Trying to poach my talent and cut off my retreat? Where's the lounge? I'll take you. Marcus and I followed the young woman, walking quickly towards the lounge at the end of the corridor. The door was locked, and inside, a fierce argument could be heard. Stella, don't be ungrateful. General Leonard has already sold your contract, you'll sign it whether you want to or not. A sharp male voice rang out, immediately followed by a cold yet stubborn female voice. Mark, I signed with Stella, not you. As long as CEO Grace hasn't given the word, I'm not going anywhere. Heh, CEO Grace? That inexperienced young woman? What can she give you? Come with me to Elite, Mr. Shen himself promised to make you their top artist. Bang! I kicked open the lounge door. Inside the lounge, a greasy man with a menacing look on his face was gripping a slender girl's wrist. He was Stella's manager, Leonard's confidant, Mark. And the girl he had pinned was Stella, Stella's only front-runner. She had a distinctive, high-fashion face and cool, clear eyes. Even in this vulnerable position, she stubbornly pressed her lips together, showing no sign of begging for mercy. Mark was startled when he saw me. He immediately released Stella and plastered a fake smile on his face. CEO Grace, what brings you here? If I hadn't come, my company's only cash cow would have been sold off by you. I walked in slowly, my gaze sweeping over the Elite contract in his hand, a cold ass near playing on my lips. Mark's face shifted, but he forced himself to stand firm. CEO Grace, that's not fair. I'm doing this for Stella's own good. Elite's platform is much bigger than Stella's, and Ethan even personally promised. Ethan's promises to you must have been substantial, too, right? I interrupted him directly. I walked over to Stella. Her wrist showed a red mark from being squeezed. Her eyes were defiant, but I could still detect a hint of helplessness. CEO Grace, I won't leave, she said, looking at me, each word clear and resolute. I patted her shoulder, reassuring her. Then, I turned to Mark, my eyes icy. You want to take my person? Did you ask me first? Mark was intimidated by my presence, but the thought of Ethan's lucrative offer bolstered his courage. Grace, don't make things difficult. This contract, Stella will sign it whether she likes it or not. With that, he lunged forward, attempting to grab Stella again. A dark blur flashed. Marcus had appeared in front of me, I hadn't even noticed when. With one hand, he effortlessly seized Mark's wrist. Ah! Mark let out a scream, his entire face contorted in pain. Let go. Marcus, you. Marcus's eyes were cold as ice. He applied a slight pressure, and Mark cried out, dropping to his knees. You dare touch my person? Marcus's voice was soft, yet it carried a deadly oppressive aura. Marcus, let him go, I said calmly. Marcus released him. Mark immediately collapsed on the ground like a dead dog, clutching his wrist and whimpering. I looked down at him, then unhurriedly took out my phone and pressed play. A conversation clearly echoed from the phone. It was Mark's voice. Mr. Ethan, don't worry, Stella's brother's illness is a bottomless pit. All I have to do is use that to pressure her, and she won't dare disobey. On the other end of the line was Ethan's voice. Excellent. After it's done, you'll get a 10% commission. The recording finished playing, and the lounge fell into a deathly silence. Stella's color drained from her face instantly. She stared in disbelief at Mark, who was sprawled on the floor, her eyes filled with the anguish of betrayal. Mark, on the other hand, was utterly stunned, trembling like a sieve. You, me what? I put away my phone, my smile cold. Mark, using an artist's personal family issues for blackmail and colluding with a rival company, your plan was quite something. Ethan, I said as if speaking to thin air, my voice full of contempt. To poach my talent, and to use such beneath contempt tactics. Truly just like that manipulative facade you keep around you. I no longer paid attention to that useless man. I turned to Stella, softening my voice. How much money does your brother's illness require? Stella's tears finally fell, her voice choking. The doctor said the follow-up treatment and bone marrow transplant will cost at least $3 million. All right, I said, looking at her, my gaze resolute. The company will cover that expense. Stella suddenly looked up, staring at me in shock. No, I corrected myself. I will cover that expense personally. I don't want your gratitude, nor your loyalty. I only want one thing from you. I spoke each word clearly. I want you to reach the pinnacle of this industry, to become an unshakable queen. Can you do that? Stella gazed at me blankly, the tears in her eyes replaced by a fiery belief. She vigorously wiped away her tears and bowed deeply to me. CEO Grace, I can do it. Good. I nodded with satisfaction, then cast a final glance at Mark on the floor. As for you, I'll make sure you learn the consequences of betraying me. Marcus, call Mr. Michael. Tell him there's an additional charge here, commercial extortion. Marcus's lips curved into a smile. He took out his phone, his tone doting. As you command, my queen. Stepping out of the lounge, I was about to leave when my phone vibrated. It was a text message from an unknown number. Grace, don't celeb. Rate too soon. You can protect her for a moment, but not forever. It was Ethan. I scoffed, handing my phone to Marcus. He raised an eyebrow. Wants to play hardball? I took my phone back and unhurriedly replied with 4 words, anytime. Then, I turned to Stella behind me. You have a new mission now. Stella immediately stood straighter. CEO Grace, please tell me what to do. I looked at her distinctive, high-fashion face and slowly began. Ethan's first love, Lily, is about to announce a global ambassador deal with a luxury brand, isn't she? Yes, it's for Valerius's latest Starlight collection, and the launch event is tonight. Excellent. I smiled, my eyes gleaming with a hunter's glint. I want you to go and snatch that endorsement. Hashtag Valerius's brand launch was tonight. Time was so tight it made the task seem almost impossible. I looked at Stella's face, a mix of worry and determination, and slowly asked, are you afraid? Stella took a deep breath and shook her head forcefully. No. With CEO Grace by my side, I'm not afraid of anything. I smiled, handing her a folder. These are all of Lily's background details. Memorize them within half an hour. Especially all of her design works from her university days. Stella paused, but immediately took the folder and began to focus on its contents. Marcus leaned closer, his long arm reaching out naturally to encircle my waist, his chin resting on the top of my head. My dear, what can I do? I looked up at him, meeting his captivating eyes that held a smile. Tonight, Mr. Levi, the president of Valerius China, will personally be there to announce the brand ambassador. I need you to arrange a meeting for me with him. 5 minutes will be enough. Marcus raised an eyebrow, took out his phone, dialed a number, and spoke a few words in fluent French. Hanging up, he triumphantly tilted his chin at me. Done. Mr. Levi said he'd be delighted to have a drink with Mrs. Liu before the banquet begins. I OD on my tiptoes and kissed his cheek. That's your reward. The amusement in Marcus's eyes instantly transformed into a deep, dark intensity. He cupped my chin, his voice husky. That little reward isn't enough. After we achieve a big victory tonight, I'm at your command. I winked at him and turned to prepare Stella's battle attire. At the evening event, it was a glittering array of fashion and celebrities. Ethan was confidently escorting Lily, basking in everyone's praise. Lily wore a white gauze dress sponsored by Valerius, her makeup exquisite, perfectly playing the role of a pure and innocent maiden about to be crowned by a luxury brand. When she saw me, a hint of undetected triumph flashed in her eyes, quickly replaced by her usual fragile, pitiful demeanor. Ms. Grace, you're here too? Ethan saw Marcus beside me, and his face instantly darkened. He shielded Lily behind him, his tone unpleasant. Grace, haven't you caused enough embarrassment? Do you think you belong at an event like this? I ignored him, walking directly towards a foreign man who was conversing with someone. Mr. Levi, hello. Mr. Levi saw me, then looked at Marcus behind me, a hint of understanding in his eyes. He warmly shook my hand. Beautiful. Lou, your charm is even more captivating than Marcus described. Just then, the host stepped onto the stage, beginning to introduce Valerius's new collection concept, and grandly invited out the newly emerging design prodigy, Lily. Lily shyly walked onto the stage and began to explain her design inspiration. Ethan, in the audience, was full of pride. Her designs are filled with reverence for nature and an understanding of life, which aligns perfectly with Valerius's brand spirit, Mr. Levi said, nodding approvingly beside me. I watched Lily speaking eloquently on stage, a cold sneer forming on my lips. Just a second before Mr. Levi was about to step up and formally announce the brand ambassador, I raised my hand. Mr. Levi, I object. All eyes in the room instantly focused on me. Ethan angrily roared, Grace, what are you trying to do now? Security, get this crazy woman out of here. I didn't look at him, simply meeting Mr. Levi's gaze, my voice clear and carrying across the entire hall. I object to a thief who stole another's work being the ambassador for Valerius. A gasp swept through the room. Lily's face turned chalk white. She pointed at me, trembling all over. You slander me. I didn't. Oh, really? I pressed the play button on my phone, connecting it to the venue's large screen. Immediately, a design manuscript appeared on the screen, next to a photo of Lily from her university days. Following that, another manuscript appeared, almost identical but with more refined details and an earlier date. The signature at the bottom was an unfamiliar name, Sarah. I slowly spoke. Sarah, Lily's university roommate, dropped out 3 years ago due to depression. This was her award-winning entry back then. And all the design works Ms. Lily provided to Valerius as the Starlight Collection's inspiration borrowed from Sarah's style, or even copied it verbatim. I paused, my gaze sweeping over Lily, whose face had already turned ashen, and Ethan, who stood beside her, dumbfounded. Mr. Levi, does a brand like Valerius, with a century of history, truly want to choose a deceitful, dishonest fraud to represent its image? Mr. Levi's face was ashen, and he looked at Lily with anger and disappointment. Just then, Marcus slowly walked to his side, saying in a voice that was not loud but clear enough for those nearby to hear, "Mr. Levi, Grandpa was just mentioning the other day that he hadn't played golf with you in a while. He also said that Lou's venture capital arm is currently evaluating several European luxury brand groups for strategic investments." Mr. Levi's expression shifted, instantly changing. I struck while the iron was hot, clapping my hands softly. The ballroom doors opened, and Stella, wearing a black velvet gown, slowly walked in. Her makeup was cool and alluring, her charisma exceptional, and her distinctive, Eastern-featured high-fashion face seemed to glow under the dazzling lights. The moment she appeared, she stole everyone's breath. I walked to her side, linked my arm with hers, and faced everyone, including Mr. Levi, whose expression was now extremely grim. "I forgot to introduce you. This is my artist, Stella." Compared to a hypocritical thief, I believe her face, her aura, are more fitting for Valerius's Starlight collection. ### A deathly silence fell over the entire room. Mr. Levi's face was more colorful than a painter's palette, shifting from shock to anger, then to the humiliation of being deceived. Ethan finally reacted, like an enraged bull, pointing at me and roaring, "Grace, you vicious woman. You're just jealous of Lily's talent, making up these ridiculous lies." Lily was crying with tears streaming down her face, clutching Mr. Levi's arm as if it were her last straw. "Mr. Levi, don't believe her. I didn't plagiarize. Sarah is my best friend, she gave me the design drafts." She sobbed uncontrollably, as if she had suffered the greatest injustice. She said she had depression and didn't want to be involved in this industry anymore, so she entrusted her hard work to me, asking me to fulfill her dream. This explanation managed to deceive a few soft-hearted guests, and some began to point fingers at me. "Is that so?" I sneered, holding up my phone. If she was such a good friend, then why did Sarah's parents tell me that Sarah dropped out of school because she was bullied there, her design drafts were stolen, and she was then falsely accused, which aggravated her depression? I pressed play, and an old, grief-stricken recording echoed throughout the ballroom. "That woman named Lily, she's a demon in human skin. She stole my daughter's designs and conspired with others to isolate my daughter, calling her crazy. My poor Sarah." The recording ended with Sarah's mother's uncontrollable sobs. The truth was exposed in its brutal truth. Lily's face instantly lost all color. She collapsed to the ground, only unconscious murmurs escaping her lips, "No, it's not true. I didn't." Ethan's face also turned extremely grim. He looked at the disheveled woman on the floor, and for the first time, his eyes showed wavering and disgust. His pure and kind first love, whom he had always been so proud of, turned out to be a venomous snake who stole others' dreams and pushed people to their breaking point. "Mr. Levi," I said, putting away my phone, my gaze returning to the brand president. My voice was calm, yet it carried an undeniable power. "This is the design prodigy Valerius was about to choose, a thief, a liar, a bully. My artist, Stella, may not be as skilled at storytelling, but she is clean, authentic, and her charisma and character are more than enough to uphold Valerius's century-old reputation." Mr. Levi took a deep breath. He glanced at Marcus beside him, whose expression was serious, then looked at Stella on stage, radiating exceptional charisma. He had made his decision. He picked up the microphone and bowed deeply to all the guests. "I sincerely apologize. Due to an oversight in our brand's review process, we nearly made a grave mistake." He straightened up, his eyes regaining the shrewdness and decisiveness of a businessman. He boldly announced in a clear voice, "I hereby solemnly declare that the global ambassador for Valerius's latest Starlight collection for Greater is Miss Stella." Thunderous applause erupted throughout the room. Stella stood there, the lights shining on her. Tears welled in her eyes, but her back was straight, like a sunflower finally breaking through the soil, embracing her glory. Lily, on the other hand, had become an utter joke. "Security." Mr. Levi waved his hand ruthlessly. "Please escort these two individuals, whose actions severely contradict our brand's philosophy, out of the ballroom." Ethan and Lily were ignominiously escorted out of the ballroom by security, pursued by a frenzy of camera flashes from the media. After tonight, they would be completely the laughingstock of Olympus City. I watched their retreating figures, a cold, satisfying smile playing on my lips. Ethan, this is just the beginning. In the Ferrari on the way back, the atmosphere was light and pleasant. Marcus drove with one hand, while his other hand restlessly reached over, clasped mine, and gently kissed it. My dear, you truly impressed me beyond words today. His captivating eyes were filled with undisguised admiration and fiery intensity. So strategic, so decisive. I'm starting to fall in love with you a little. What am I going to do? I pulled my hand free and gave him a sidelong glance. Marcus, don't forget our agreement. Agreement is agreement, feelings are feelings. He leaned closer, his warm breath caressing my ear, his voice ambiguous and husky. After achieving a big victory tonight, shouldn't I get a more substantial reward? He moved closer and closer, his handsome face magnified before my eyes, and the temperature inside the car seemed to rise steadily. Just as my heart skipped a beat, and I was hesitating whether to respond to his fiery intensity, my phone suddenly vibrated violently. I instinctively picked it up and saw it was a video call from my family's butler. I pressed connect, but the screen didn't show the butler's kind face. Instead, it was a shaky darkness. Then, a voice I knew and despised, filled with a mad laugh, came from the other end of the line. Grace, don't you want to see your dear mother? It was Ethan. The video stabilized. I saw my mom tied to a chair, her mouth taped shut, her face covered in tears of terror, and, holding the phone, faced the camera with a twisted expression. 1 hour. Come alone to the abandoned warehouse district on the city's edge. Otherwise, I'll let you watch your mom die. The call was cut off. My blood instantly froze, my hands and feet turning icy cold. Marcus had also seen the video content. His face darkened, and he immediately grabbed his phone. I'm calling the police right now. No. I seized his hand, my voice trembling. He's a madman right now, we can't provoke him. Marcus looked at my chalk-white face, pulled me into his arms, his voice more serious and resolute than ever before. Don't be afraid. I'll go with you. The moment he finished speaking, his phone rang. He glanced at the caller ID, and his face instantly became even more grim than before. He answered the call, and his assistant's panicked voice came through. Marcus, this is bad. Grandpa. Grandpa suddenly had a heart attack and was rushed to the hospital. The doctors said his condition is very critical. My heart plummeted. Clark, it must be his doing. Marcus looked at me, then listened to the urgent voice on the phone. For the first time, his handsome face showed struggle and pain. On one side was Grandpa, whose life hung in the balance, on the other, me, in grave danger. Just then, my phone rang again. It was still Ethan. He sent a text message, just a short line of words, but it plunged me as if into an ice abyss. Forgot to tell you, Marcus's cousin just called me too. He said he'll prepare a big gift for you two doomed lovers at the factory. Hashtag chapter 10 Marcus, you need to go to the hospital. I shoved him away abruptly, using all my strength to remain calm. Grandpa can't be without you. I'll go to my mom myself. No. Marcus refused without thinking. He clenched my hand tightly, his eyes bloodshot. I can't let you go alone. Marcus. I yelled at him. Clear your head. This is a trap set by Clark and Ethan. They want both of us to go there, to catch us in one sweep. If you go now, it will only put my mom in more danger. Your grandpa is the pillar of the family, he can't have anything happen to him. You must go. Seeing the tormented struggle in his eyes, I hardened my heart and leaned in to kiss his lips. Trust me, I looked into his eyes and said each word clearly, I'll be back. With that, I didn't hesitate, hailed a taxi, and sped away. The abandoned factory reeked of rust and dust. My mom was tied up in the center. Ethan held a knife to her neck, looking like a madman. Grace, you finally came. He saw me, and a mad glint sparked in his eyes. Let my mom go. Your target is me. I looked at him calmly. Let her go? Ethan burst into laughter, tears streaming down his face. Why should I? It's you. You destroyed everything I had. My company, my reputation, my Lily. She was arrested by the police. All because of you. Today, I'm going to make you taste what it's like to lose the one you love most. As he spoke, he moved the knife as if to cut. Wait. I shouted. Ethan, do you really love Lily? He paused. You don't love her, you only love that pure and kind illusion, you love the superiority and satisfaction she brought you. I walked towards him step by step, my voice not loud, but every word struck deep. You don't understand her at all. You don't know what she likes to eat, what she's afraid of. You don't even know that she's allergic to mangoes. And I looked at him, a hint of pity in my eyes. I know everything about you. I know your stomach hurts when you drink too much at business dinners. I know you like 2 sugars in your coffee. I know you have to hug a pillow to sleep. Did your pure and kind first love know any of this? Ethan was completely stunned. He looked at me, his eyes shifting from madness to confusion, and then from confusion to pain. No, it's not true, he murmured to himself. In the instant his mind was in a daze, I suddenly rushed forward and used all my strength to push him away. At the same moment, the factory gates were rammed open with a boom, and countless blinding headlights shone in. Marcus, with a large contingent of police, descended as if from the sky. It turned out that on his way to the hospital, he had sensed something was wrong. He immediately had his assistant check Clark's call records, confirming my suspicions. He played along, arranging for the best doctors at the hospital to stabilize Clark, while rushing with a team to rescue me. Ethan was apprehended by the police, and Clark was also taken in for questioning by the police on suspicion of kidnapping and intentional assault. The dust settled. I rushed over to untie my mom's ropes. She hugged me and burst into loud sobs. Marcus walked to my side, took off his suit jacket, and draped it over my trembling body. Then, he pulled me tightly into his embrace. I'm sorry, I was late. His voice was incredibly husky. I leaned into his warm embrace and shook my head. You weren't late, you arrived at just the right moment. A year later, I successfully turned stellar profitable and groomed Stella into the youngest best. When she stood on the award stage, the first person she thanked was me. Grandpa had fully recovered and been discharged from the hospital. After this incident, he saw Clark's true colors and expelled him from the Liu family. Now, Grandpa constantly hounds us to have a great-grandchild for him. On my wedding day, I received a postcard from Paris. It showed Sarah, wearing a graduation gown, beaming with joy under the Eiffel. On the back was a line of text, "Thank you, Grace. I've become my own light." Meanwhile, on the news, a social report was playing. Former high society scion Ethan was sentenced to life imprisonment for multiple crimes including kidnapping and fraud. His ex-girlfriend, Lily, received a 10-year sentence for theft, commercial fraud, and bullying. Marcus embraced me from behind, planting a gentle kiss on my ear. My dear, what are you watching? I turned off the television, wrapped my arms around him, beaming with joy. Nothing, just watching a joke. He looked down at me, his deep, captivating eyes filled with unfathomable affection and adoration. He suddenly took a velvet box from his pocket and knelt on one knee. Grace, he opened the box, revealing a sparkling diamond ring. It's time for a new agreement between us. The term for this one is for a lifetime. Smiling, I extended my hand to him. The sun shone brightly outside the window, my happiness had just begun. Thank you for watching today's story. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to share your views, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.